Welcome back to Sports Comedy Podcast. Mike, why don't you tell us what's on the agenda next, my man? Bring it on.
Alrighty then. Well, of course, we have our story segment today. And the first two story segments that we've had, I've actually told stories, but me and Alex, we actually have, both of us have stories this week, and unfortunately we can't do both of them in one segment, so we flipped a coin and Alex's story won. So Alex, go ahead and take it. Alex, hello, you there?
Can Eddie come out to play? I'm right beside you, Ed. Hi, Eddie!
Sorry, dude. All right, I'm going to try to make this as quickly as I can, even though it is the greatest story I think you will ever hear. When I was about...
Well, they hear my story on Thursday.
Yeah, right. Until then, suck it up, Buttercup. This is my turn.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, when I was about 5 or 6 years old, we had a beach house down in Fox Island. And first off, actually, let's start off with J.J. Putz. We all know who J.J. is, former Mariner for the Seattle Mariners, and no doubt one of my favorite Mariners closers ever. So, J.J. was actually a family member of my neighbor's, and he was, I believe, the uncle or something like this. I'm not entirely sure. All I know is he was a family member of one of my neighbors who were neighbors with me at my beach house. So we all get that so far. I had neighbors at my beach house, and JJ happened to be an uncle of one of them. So when JJ Putz was down in Tacoma with the Rainiers, I'm not sure if he got sent down or if he was just there, to get ready for the majors. He came down to visit the uncle. He came down to visit my neighbor, since they are a family. And JJ went to his house, had dinner, and then he came down to visit us because our family's huge Mariner fans. My mom and my dad, and even though I really didn't know what was going on at the time, I kind of knew, like, oh my gosh, this guy's going to come to our house, and he's a Seattle Mariner. So my mom and dad were shaking his hand, just talking baseball. According to my mom, that's what she was saying. The whole time when I was, like I said, just 5 years old, I was so young, but he was just down at our beach house, drinking a beer, doing whatever, eating snacks. And at the time, I was like, oh wow, this is kind of cool. I've got a Mariner. If this were to happen now, I would be sweating bullets. I'd be like, oh my god, I have a Mariner at my beach house. I have a Seattle Mariner, a closer at my beach house right now. But
you would probably have to change your shorts.
Oh, I'd have to change him so many times, dude.
You would probably piss yourself at least 3 times.
Oh my god! But it was so cool. I mean, my mom just said, "Alex, you had no idea really what was going on. Like, you honestly didn't know who that was at the time. But now, obviously, I do." And I do remember his face. I do remember him looking at me and me talking with him about, stupid stuff. So hey, I think my mom said, oh yeah, he would ask you about, if you like sports and if you're going to school and what you want to be when you grow up, asking typical baby questions like that. But I stayed out there with him, and as they were drinking beers, because we have a porch. Like, there's our beach house, we have a porch, and they were outside on the porch. I remember staying up and being so tired. And JJ, I remember, according to my mom, she said, oh yeah, Alex, he said that he called you a trooper because for just staying up so long. I eventually took a little nap. I was like, yeah, I'm going to just rest my eyes for a few minutes. And when we say we're all going to rest our eyes, that means we're done. So I, quote unquote, rested my eyes. And next thing I knew, the next morning I woke up and I was in bed. And I asked my mom, as I was, like I said, I was like, okay, how did I end up in bed? And then I said, who carried me to bed last night, Mommy? And my mom says, JJ did. And I was like, what? Really? Now, once again, at the time, I was like, oh, that's cool. Now, you fast forward 12 years later, and if your mom tells you JJ Putz carried you to bed, put me to bed, I'm like, oh my god. So, to pretty much wrap it up in a nutshell, JJ, my neighbor, is his uncle or something like that. He was down in Tacoma. I think the Rainiers were maybe on their all-star break, I believe, when it happened. He came down to his house, and then our neighbor said, hey man, our neighbors are huge baseball fans. Come down. They had some drinks until the wee hours of the morning. I got to meet with him and barely kind of sort of talk with him. And then I woke up the next morning, and according to my mom, JJ carried me to bed. And pretty much I never seen him after that. So it was 12 years ago.
I never seen him after that later.
Yeah, would he remember me if my neighbor down at my beach house would, kind of bring up my name a couple times? I would definitely think so. But from what I remember, such a nice guy. As I said earlier, one of my favorite Mariners closers. Either next to that one Japanese guy we had,
Kazuhiro Sasaki.
yeah, Sasaki, or right now Tom Wilhelmsen. But overall, it was a great, great experience, even though I was so young at the time. But that is my story of JJ Putz carrying me to bed. Mike, we're at 6:12 right now. I'm not sure if your story is going to take as long as mine, but we're at 6:15.
Okay, I actually might be able to fit mine.
I'll let you know though at 9:30.
All right, no problem. So my story is actually a little bit more interesting.
Oh,
I was
thanks.
actually in my 11th year in I was in my junior year in high school, and my buddy. I went to Spanaway Lake High School at the time, and my buddy called me up. This is when I had a cell phone still. He said, "Hey, do you want to go, to a Curtis High School game?" And I was like, why? And he said, "Well, this kid Isaiah Thomas is playing down there, and he heard he's awesome." So we go down to the game. And Isaiah Thomas, he puts down 59 on Todd Beamer, which is just incredible, especially for a high school kid.
Right.
And right after the game, I go up to Isaiah and I said, "Yo, Isaiah, dude, you went all off. You went all out, or all out, yeah, basically like all out on Todd Beamer." He's like, "Yeah, thanks a lot, man." And so my buddy, he's like, "Dude, you want to go to Denny's?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I could go for a bite to eat." And then I don't know what popped into my head, but I was like, "Hey, Isaiah, you want to come with me and Ryan? Go get something to eat over at Denny's?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem." And so we go to Denny's and we basically hung out for basically the whole night. And ever since then, me and Isaiah Thomas, we have actually stayed friends. We have actually stayed really good friends.
I love it.
He actually follows me on Twitter right now. We just became friends on Facebook because I found out that he did actually have a Facebook.
Right.
And the last time I actually met up with him, like basically hung out with him, it was this last August. He was still down here in Spanaway, and we actually played a game of one-on-one over at Sprinker.
Attaboy, there you go. Who won?
Yeah.
He did, right?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know.
And I've actually been to a few Husky games. He's actually gotten me into a few Husky basketball games.
Lucky dude.
Yeah. So it's good that a guy like that. It's fun that you meet a kid when he's in high school and then he becomes the 60th, the Mr. Irrelevant basically of the NBA, and he's the last pick in the draft, and he's doing unbelievable in the NBA basically.
Well, the one thing that I also forgot to bring up about JJ, which is about you saying going to the Husky games and hooking you up. JJ would hook us up with Rainiers and Mariner tickets. Like every time he was, no, seriously. And in fact, that same weekend, I think we got Rainiers games for the next week. And then when he was with the Mariners, I remember my mom saying, "Alex, I can't remember the time I've been to so many Mariner games, but thanks to JJ, he hooked us up with a lot of games." So I thought that was really cool as well.
Well, there you go.
Yep, and we're at 9:03 right now, so I think that's pretty much it for all the sports conversations, boys. I think we're going to answer some questions coming up.
Yeah, and to tell you the truth, I did not think we would get both our stories in. I was actually going to go into greater detail on Thursday, but
You still can if you want.
well, yeah, I can basically. Well, no, it's all right. But
I've told everything that I needed to.
I actually didn't think we would get through both stories like that.
Well, we did.
Yep.
And I love it.
Coming up in the next segment, we're gonna do some answering questions, and I'm actually gonna give a brief, few little bit of news breaks in sports. So we will take a short break, and we'll be right back.